Are you ready for this? Do you like it like this? Do you remember that song from the 70s?
Like
Are you ready for this? Do you like it like this?
Welcome back once again to our Air Radio News update for you, bringing you national Canadian news, national world news, all kinds of good stuff. Big Daddy Russ Horton. I'm Lee Lakin, Leah Lywood behind the camera, and we have a whole ton of stories to go on today, especially being national news. It's not just stuff happening here in Canada, but a lot of it affects what happens to us here as Canadians too, as
Absolutely.
well. So welcome back, everybody. Fairly new show for us on the Air Radio side. We've been doing these locally for a couple of years now. We thought we'd bring them to our friends all across Canada.
And around the world. We promote Canadian tourism.
And we eat French fries on the air.
And we eat French fries from the Appalachian. That's where we are. If you ever come to our hometown in Georgetown, Ontario, we are based at the Appalachian restaurant, right?
That's right, 68 Main Street North in Georgetown. They've always got great specials on. They've got a 10-ounce steak going on this weekend for $18.95 that I'm just dying to try. But yeah, lots of cool stuff going on here. We call it the Little Room That Rocks, right here in Georgetown, Ontario. So if you get a chance, check them out online and on Facebook. We'd love to have you involved. And like you were saying, also our good friends through Canadian tourism.
Absolutely. We are brought to you this week by NovaScotia.com. We highlight different hometowns across Canada on Facebook every week. We have a huge connection. Our numbers are getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
This week we looked at Antigonish, and you've got to be careful how you say that.
Yes, you got to be very careful.
From Nova Scotia, it's Antigonish, okay? Not Antigonish, like some people say. They're represented by NovaScotia.com. Reddeer.com. We did a feature on them in Alberta, and Melfort, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Hello to everybody there. TourismSaskatchewan.com. Selkirk, Manitoba. Hello to you. And myselkirk.ca. Timmins is a great place to go. That's right, tourismtimmins.com, and of course we highlighted our friends in Montreal this week on Facebook, mtl.org, and they're all the sponsors of the show. Now let's get on. We got a very busy show.
Yeah, very busy show today, especially with everything going on in Russia and the Ukraine. So
a lot of stuff going on. 5 days into Russia's invasion, the Kremlin again raised the specter of nuclear war, while an embattled Ukraine moved to solidify its ties to the West by applying to join the European Union. Of course, a mainly symbolic move, unlikely to sit well with, as we know, with President Putin. Canada's providing Ukraine with anti-tank weapons systems and upgrading ammunition to be used in response to Russia's ongoing invasion, which no one can believe is going on right now.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that on Monday. That's Donald Trump's buddy.
Yeah.
And this in addition to previous shipments of lethal and non-lethal equipment. And so we're sending stuff to Russia.
Yeah.
I don't think we're fighting ourselves there, but we're sending stuff.
A lot of countries sending stuff over. I know Australia was sending a bunch of things over just the other day, and had some tough times because their weather over there wasn't the best either, so that was making it tough. But much of the world lined up against Moscow in the United Nations on Wednesday to demand it withdraw from the Ukraine, as Russian forces kept up their bombardment of the country's second biggest city and besieged its strategic ports. Russia reported its military casualties for the first time since the invasion began several days ago, stating nearly 500 of its troops had been killed and almost 1,600 wounded. And the Ukraine insisted Russia losses were far higher, but did not immediately uncover its own losses as well. We've been hearing very staggered numbers coming out of both Russia and the Ukraine, and I think we're going to hear that no matter what.
The long convoy. One thing I can't understand, there's a long convoy of sitting ducks.
Yeah.
Why aren't they bombing them?
I know.
I don't think the Ukraine want to.
I don't think they do.
Or
really.
Maybe they don't have the firepower to do it, but there's kids
that's
barely out of school.
Yeah.
This thing is just awful to watch.
It's asinine. It's completely asinine.
Deputy Prime Minister.
It is a power-hungry, greedy president. Putin. He's power-hungry. He's so greedy.
Howard Stern said it best. Howard said, and I really respect him in his later years. He was all right when he was younger, but now he's dynamite and bang on with everything he does. He said, Putin hasn't got enough. He wants more. Mm-hmm. Putin apparently had a very, very bad childhood, Maybe this guy needs some medical help, but
I think he needs some
hurry
medication.
Hurry up!
Put him back on his pills. Whoever's in charge of this man.
Mr. Putin is off his meds. That long table. What is that? It's got to be 60 feet long. He's sitting one end, everybody else is up at the other end. Like all these weird.
It's amazing. It's amazing what ego will do to somebody.
No, I mean I wouldn't take tea from the man, would you?
No.
Would you like a spot of tea? No, thank you, Mr. Putin. I'm fine. All right, Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland warning Canadians against fighting for Russia in Ukraine as well, which is there's a few Russians, I guess, in Canada that want to fight for Russia.
I guess, yeah.
She mentioned, though, anyone who does could look at severe consequences. Freeland put forth the warning during a news conference in Ottawa, where she announced further sanctions against Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. And the Deputy Prime Minister stated Canada believes Russia's act is illegal and implying anyone fighting for the Russian side could be breaking international law. But it's okay to go.
It's
fight
okay for
free.
Putin to break international law, but not that I'm saying two wrongs make it right, but
no.
Kills me. Tuesday, bombarding in the central square of Ukraine's second biggest city and Kiev's main TV tower, and what the country's president called a blatant campaign of terror. Nobody will forgive it and nobody will forget it, President Vladimir Zelensky stated after the bloodshed on the square in Kharkiv. Ukrainian authorities mentioned 5 people were killed on the attack on the TV tower, which is a couple of miles from the central Kiev. I keep wanting to say Kiev, but it's Kiev.
Well, there's 2 different ways of pronouncing it, actually. You're right. Kiev and Kiev is the way that the Ukrainians call it. The Russians call it Kiev.
Yeah.
And the Ukrainians call it Kiev.
Kiev.
So I'm going to start calling it Kiev.
Yeah. A short walk from many apartment buildings, so this was very close to a lot of residential areas. A TV control room and power substation were hit, and at least some Ukrainian channels briefly stopped broadcasting, officials had reported. Again, you start bombing and you're hitting residential areas, man. That's you're going after military stations and stuff. I get it. But you're going after, where there's children and women and children and stuff, you're just a piece of garbage in my mind. You're just a piece of garbage. And if you are fighting in a war you don't believe in, you're just as big as a piece of garbage. You walk away.
One thing I've noticed are how young these kids are, on both sides. And now we've got young kids in the Ukraine are starting militias going with fire bombs. And these are kids in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
But you got to remember the Russian soldiers, they didn't know what you've seen so many interviews of captured Russian kids. These are 18, these are like our grandkids.
Yeah.
18, 19, they're barely out of school. And the Ukrainian government is handling it very well. They're interviewing them on the camera. They're giving them Snickers bars.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're not being mistreated in any way.
Letting them phone home, and it almost brings you to tears to watch these kids, and they're terrified.
Yeah.
They don't know what.
And they were lied to.
They didn't know why. And some of them weren't even soldiers.
No.
These guys are teachers. And,
one guy was a math teacher. The other guy was. I'm like, what are you doing there?
It's not unprecedented for Western governments to sanction a world leader, but Putin, you are the first, my friend. And if that makes you feel good, I hope you're happy in the bed you have made, because it's not turning out to be such a moonlight and canoes kind of trip for you, Mr. Putin. You've come across
I hope it just keeps getting worse
country
for him.
And the leader of the Ukraine is an absolute amazing man, very brave. They said, would you like us to take you out? He says, no, I'd like you to bring me some ammunition.
Yeah.
That takes balls. And so does what we saw in the video. 2 videos that really disturbed me. One was a tank rolling over the old lady there, and she's without a car now.
Right.
I don't know how she's getting around town. But
I think she's a little
I'm
scared
glad
to
she's
go out.
okay. When I saw that, I was horrified. I thought they were dead.
Yeah.
They don't have a tank run over you and live. And the other one was, it's not so funny because they were killed, I believe, at the end of it, was the Russian warship when they came up to the island. And they were over the loudspeaker, you have to give up now or we will shoot you.
Right.
And then the Ukrainian guy says to the other guy, should I tell them to go fuck themselves?
Yeah.
And the other guy says, yes. And then they said, go fuck yourself. And then cut right off.
Yeah.
So, we don't swear on this show unless there's a meaning for it. But if I wouldn't
That was
have-
quoting. So.
That was quoting somebody, and funnier than hell. It's got a Winnie the Pooh Facebook meme going out right now. So what's the definition, Piglet, of balls? It's telling a Russian warship to go fuck themselves. So yeah, there is a lighter side, but of course a very, very dark specter side as well. And but I guess and the big thing as well is they're getting control of the nuclear plants, and they're bombing around the nuclear. And what happens if they hit the wrong area of that plant and everything goes?
You got a lot of sick people. A lot of sick people.
Exactly.
Well, Canada, and I know the U.S. has done it, they've actually shut down the airspace to Russian aircraft effective immediately as federal government pledges more equipment for the Ukraine. Transport Minister Omar Agabara stated on Twitter Sunday that Canada's airspace will be closed to all Russian operators. The Americans came out on Monday and said the same thing. We will hold Russia accountable for its unprovoked attacks against Ukraine, he said in his latest tweet. And I tend to agree with that.
One more Russian story.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. That we shut them down that way too. That they definitely can't travel, but they have to fly. Many of their flights have to come over Canada because that's the way the jet stream goes, and they have to. So cutting them off might be different.
I'll let you wrap up the Russian story.
Finally, in our Russian news. I wish I could do the decent Russian accent, but a defiant President Volodymyr Zelensky mentioned Ukrainian forces were repelling Russian troops advancing on Kyiv on Saturday, as Western nations stated they were cutting off a number of Russian banks from the world's main financial payment systems, turning up the economic pressure on Moscow. Routers witnessed in Kyiv mentioned occasional blasts and gunfire in the city on Saturday evening, but it was not clear exactly where it was coming from. The capital and other cities have been bombarded by Russian artillery and cruise missiles. And, as we're recording this on the Friday, we've seen quite a bit more bombing going on this week.
The whole, you're worried. I'm worried to bring up the news and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I'm terrified of what I'm going to see, and some of the horrific things that I've seen over the last couple of weeks, or last week anyway. It's just. But let's move off of the Russian subject. There are other things going on.
There are others, but you know what?
We're going to bring Mr. Trump in here. Donald, it's like this. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is calling Canada's country of left-wing fascists for the way it cleared protesters out of Ottawa. And Trump's remarks at the annual Conservative Political Action Conference in Florida, made for the first time in nearly a month, he's publicly acknowledged the protests.
The verbal diarrhea comes out of this guy.
And he mentioned protesters in Canada were slandered as Nazis, racists, and terrorists, charged with what he called phony crimes and accused of being loyal to foreign powers. He's still got his stick up his ass, even though he's not the president anymore.
He's still taking shots. He's taking shots at Trudeau once again, mentioning his supporters that if they want to fight for democracy abroad, they should start with democracy that is under threat right next door, a place called Canada. Talking to Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC, a crowd on Saturday night, Trump accused Trudeau of a woke tyranny.
That's awful. Huh?
The radical left is trying to replace American democracy with woke tyranny, Trump told his supporters in Orlando, Florida. Oh my God, some days, if nothing else, it's just entertainment for me.
I kind of miss him in the spotlight because he used to make me laugh, the stupid things he used to say. And you can't tell me anyone's that stupid. He had to have had a plan of, okay, I'm going to be the president that does dumb things.
Yeah.
And, why would you do that? But anyway, I'm glad he's not in there. It's Sleepy Joe now, of course.
Well, yeah,
in the air chair.
Once again, I still bring up that subject that why Americans are so intrigued to bring in a president that's got one foot in the grave.
Yeah.
Really, like these guys are like on the border of being senile, Alzheimer-ish. It's just, thank God, like you said, You know, Putin can't do it either. Neither can the president of the United States. It's not like there's a button they can just go up and hit the button.
People think that, but
it's not the way it is. It has
You're
to
not
go
gonna end
through
the
chief
world
of staff
with one
and secretary of state, and it has to go through a whole rigmarole of things before it can actually happen. And thank God
it won't,
because
happen.
the two superpowers we got Putin and Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe would think he's hitting the snooze on his freaking alarm clock.
And the Chinese are sitting on the fence with the North Koreans, the Iranians.
Well, this is it too. What are the Chinese going to do now, or the Koreans going to do now about Taiwan? So, they're watching to see what happens with Putin. If it goes sideways with them, okay, we're not going to invade. But now I'm so glad it's happening on that side of the world.
Well, I'm happy as well that our truckers' protest is over with.
Oh, God, yeah. The Americans are doing it now.
Yeah, they are. The president of GoFundMe said to members of Parliament last Thursday, according to the crowdfunding platform's records, a large majority of the donors to the Freedom Convoy were actually from Canada,
right?
Not from the United States. Speaking before the House of Commons Public Safety and National Security Committee, Juan Benitez mentioned 88% of the donated funds to the page originated here in Canada. And pardon me, I'm burping because of the fries.
Yeah.
And 86% of donors were from Canada, so there's not as much American input into the truckers as we thought there was. At least on the last go.
The last go round, yeah.
But there's still more news coming from that.
Oh, absolutely. Chris Lezak, one of the persons charged in connection with the alleged plot to murder RCMP members in connection with the border blockade in southern Alberta, has been denied bail. The bail hearings for three accused are Chris Cartbart, Anthony Olenek, and Jerry Morin are set to take place throughout the rest of the week. So, these guys are just still trucking along.
Well, there's still a lot of them are hanging around.
Well, they're hanging around, and again,
Ottawa,
those are the bad seeds, and you
Place.
get these large crowds together, and there's always these idiots that think they just know better and what's best for everybody else, and end up screwing it for everybody else in the long run.
And the charges are still coming, Leah.
Exactly.
Ottawa police posted new charges against a Quebec man in relation to the Freedom Convoy. Steve Charlin, 48, of Grenville, Quebec, was arrested Saturday evening last week by OPP in Van Cleek Hill, which is close to Ottawa, I believe, about 100 kilometers east, I think, of Ottawa. And so they're hanging, they're still buzzing around the area.
God, yeah.
And
Pat King, one of the leaders of the recent Freedom Convoy protest in Ottawa, who was arrested over a week ago, has still been denied bail. In his ruling, Justice of the Peace Andrew Seymour mentioned that the evidence of King's participation leadership roles in the protest is overwhelming. Stated his alleged offenses an attack on the rule of law. King, 44, was amongst the most visible leaders of the 3-week occupation. He faces charges of mischief, counseling to commit mischief, counseling to commit the offenses of disobeying a court order, and counseling to obstruct police. They've just constantly going after these organizers they've all called it this Freedom Convoy, but that's not what it was about in the beginning. So I don't understand.
It was about our truckers, who I still support because they're the cowboys of the road.
But it doesn't matter what border you're crossing, whether it's the U.S. or Canadian side, you've got to be vaccinated.
That's right.
That's the rule. That's the law. Live with it. It is not the end of the freaking world. It was not a Freedom Convoy. It became that.
A lot of people are still saying those truckers. Listen to what I'm saying. You have a house party. You invite people. People come. Okay, your friends are around. All of a sudden it's 11 p.m. and everybody else joins the party. It's the same concept. The truckers wanted, I don't think the truckers wanted to happen what happened. And you can't say that.
No.
Most of the guys, all the guys are back at work now. The ones that were left there were the hardliners, people who shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Okay, you made your point, now carry on. But the fact that it took Trudeau so long to really
get off his ass
and do something. so many people, where are you, Mr. Prime Minister? Emergencies Act, rah, yes, but it's 2 weeks into it. For God's sakes. Should have been. The National Guard in the States would have been there the same day.
Yeah, it would have not have lasted anywhere as long as it did if he had gotten off his ass.
I mean, you go do that in the United States, buddy, and you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And the National Guard would be pulling, and it took us 2 weeks of sitting on our ass with our finger up our ass, wondering what our Prime Minister was going to do. And it was really, the whole world was laughing at us.
Yeah, they were.
They were pointing and laughing, and you can't blame them because it's not us, it's the government.
It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Back to COVID, I guess, still here. Medical professionals and industry groups asking Ottawa to end all COVID-19 border testing requirements as the travel sector really struggles to recover. They've had a hell of a time. Rule changes, including removal of the requirement that fully vaccinated Canadian travelers take a pre-departure COVID-19 molecular test, and that went into effect on Monday. So COVID is still here, although
I like those molecular tests. They're fun.
Yeah,
they're fun.
Yeah,
I'm going to go home and do one.
Yes. And why don't you film yourself doing it?
Leah falling asleep back there.
Leah's back there.
Poor Leah. She's so tired. She's working so hard.
Yeah.
And still comes out to help us.
I'm so glad she's back home, though. Taking care of us, looking spit.
Exactly.
Mom's spit.
As many of us want this to happen, and we could see it happen, Quebec is about to remove face mask requirements in public places by mid-April and lift other coronavirus rules earlier than expected due to a favorable recommendation from the public health the province has mentioned. The Ministry of Health and Social Services stated in a news release Wednesday that as of March 12th, all public places will be able to operate at 100% capacity with no table capacity limits or restrictions or operating hours for restaurants, bars, taverns, and casinos. Because as you saw, a lot of you might not know, a lot of bars, we were at 50%, but they had to be closed by 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
It wasn't the 2 a.m. stay open time. Now we're starting to feed back into that you can stay open till later, so you can come. Music can go on a little bit later in the night. Because here at the Appalachian...
Maybe you might even be able to dance.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we might be able to. By that time, dancing and karaoke will be permitted.
In Quebec.
And the vaccine passport will be lifted in all places where it was previously required, the ministry went on to say. So now, I think we can see that by mid-April, I think, as well here in Ontario.
So there's all the provinces are starting to back off on these COVID bullshit.
Yeah.
Ontario, of course, lifted nearly all of its COVID restrictions as well on Tuesday. Effective Tuesday here in Ontario, proof of vaccination requirements for indoor non-essential settings, like you said, they're all out the door. The limit for indoor social gatherings is moved up to 50. So we're moving out. Limits on outdoor social gatherings have also been removed completely in Ontario. And masking requirements, they're going to stay in place for a little while the Ontario government hasn't set a date for that. It could be a March break, they say. So
you and I talked about this before, that I think there's going to be a lot of people that are still going to wear them in certain areas where they just don't feel comfortable, like a grocery store or something where there's a lot of people, a lot of touching.
I'm still going to wear the mask for a little while.
I think some people are still going to,
I'm going to leave it 6 months. I'm telling you, I'll go through the summer wearing a mask when I'm around people.
It depends. For me, it really depends.
When I'm around people, but when I'm with you guys or whatever.
If I don't have to, I'm not wearing it. I'm sick of it.
Well, I know how you hate them. How much you hate them. I mean, this guy hates masks more than any man on the planet.
Can't stand
them. I can attest to that. But hopefully, across Canada, and this video is seen around the world. People that if you're planning a vacation, we'd love you to come to Canada.
Absolutely, love you to come to Halton Hills.
Halton Hills, come to our hometown. Check out Air Radio. We'll give you a tour of the studio.
All 2 minutes of it.
And but we're the little network that's growing, and slowly but surely. But we're just basic Canadians. This is rustic news from Canada, right? We've got our Acton dinner jackets
Redneck
on.
news.
Redneck news.
Canadian redneck.
And we have, of course, Leah Lywood. who is looking like a gynecologist, making sure everything is fine. You know what I mean? On the camera.
It's great to have her back, though.
Yes, it's so nice. She's been gone for a month because of the weather.
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a lot of it was the weather, though.
You have to understand, our Leah, she lives in Cambridge, out in the middle of God's country, in the middle of the snow belt, Woodstock, Kitchener, Cambridge.
Yeah.
And she hasn't been able to get here. And we didn't want her to come in those snowstorms.
Well, no, I don't want her driving home.
No, I mean, it's bad enough for you having to drive from Acton.
It was, be worried all the way at the time she's driving home.
Yeah. We're a family here.
Finally, Alberta will go into step 2 of its plan to ease COVID-19 restrictions on March 1st. So they've already kicked that in. Premier Jason Kenney stated on Saturday, Step 2 will see the removal of many long-standing public health measures, many masking requirements, indoor-outdoor social gathering limits, and work-from-home requirements and capacity limits at large events. So they're basically they've been really the forerunner in dropping a lot of the mandates is Alberta. Yeah. And again, like I say, I only think it's going to be a couple weeks until we see it here in Ontario. It's not going to be long. We've just gone into new lifting of restrictions, as we've been saying. Restaurants are at full capacity now, gyms, cinemas, and all of that can be at full capacity. No more proof of vaccination. So yeah, we're on our way. We're getting there. Live music is coming back.
What I've noticed is the concerts are starting to come back. Sting is on a North American tour.
Def Leppard, Poison, Motley Crue.
They're all on an American. Are they coming up here too?
They're doing a Canadian run.
I know they're going to Vegas.
So you've got who is it? Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and I think White Lion is the other act. But 4 bands that are coming, and going to be. They're selling out like crazy.
Did you see the video of the guys from Poison? They're so excited to get back.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine the energy that's gonna?
Dude, every time I get up on stage right now, I am so excited. I am so pumped. If it's in front of 5 people, 50, 500, doesn't matter. It is just such a great feeling to be able to bring music back to people and see the joy on their face when you do. They're having so much fun.
Don't you dare dance.
Yeah, no dancing. We're living in what is that Footloose time, with Kevin Bacon.
I'm mistaken for him at the mall all the time.
Oh, I get it all the time.
Said, "Are you Kevin Bacon?" I was like, "No, I'm not."
I get Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I get Elvis a lot because of the sideburns, I guess. Anyway, let's. Did you see the Leaf game on Saturday?
Dude, I just about choked at the Buffalo game. That to me was just, why are they sucking so bad?
They're tired
against sucky teams.
They're tired.
But they come out on a good team and they blow them away.
Well, you can't figure it out,
But that 17-goal game the other night.
Didn't you see Mitch Marner? He says, "How many goals do I have to score for the Leafs to win? I got 4 of them, guys. Come on, let's go."
Exactly.
And when it got to 8-7 there, I was starting to bite my fingernails.
Oh, dude, it was that was creepy. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a score like that.
The Leafs didn't do bad this week. They're 2-1. They beat the Red Wings at home 10-7 by a field goal. And Washington, they beat them too, 5-3. And the Capitals have really gone down the shitter.
Yeah, they've actually really flipped around. Yeah.
They flipped around. They're not playing very well. Buffalo, of course, as you mentioned, kicked our ass 5-1. Now the Ottawa Senators, they've had a bad week. Down the shithole.
Yeah, big time.
Montreal beat them 2-1. Tampa Bay thumped them 5-2, and Florida shut them out 3-0. Montreal, the Canadiens, of course, they beat Ottawa, as I mentioned. They also beat Winnipeg. Oh no, they lost to Winnipeg before. Pardon me. And Calgary, they beat them in overtime. Yeah. So all of a sudden, the Canadiens have turned it around, but it's way too late. There's no way they're going to make it.
I can't see them catching up.
Well, they can't.
No, the math just doesn't work out.
Vancouver, they had a 2-1 week. They beat the Rangers and the Islanders, and they lost to New Jersey in their trip to Eastern Seaboard.
Right.
And then we have the Edmonton Oilers. They're 2-2. They played 4 games this week.
I know, they were busy.
Well, they're catching up to COVID.
Well, that too. There was a couple catch-up games.
So they beat Florida 4-3, and they shut out the Flyers, which isn't hard to do. My grandparents could do that right now with the Flyers, 3-0. They lost to Carolina and Chicago. Winnipeg, they only played twice. They won them both. They beat Arizona, and as well, they beat Montreal 8-4, of course. The Raptors, They had a busy week.
Busy week.
They are 3-1. They beat Atlanta. Oh no, they lost to Atlanta. They're 2-2. Pardon me, but they beat Brooklyn twice. What's happened to the Brooklyn Nets? They were in first place. All of a sudden, they're 13 games back, and they lost to the Pistons, the worst team in the NBA East. And
they're following.
So
the
you
leads.
never know when you're talking major league stuff. Who's going to beat who?
You know, somebody, one or two guys has a bad game, and next thing you know, you're shit in the bed. So it's unfortunate. But.
So in the East, I guess you have to look at Florida and Tampa Bay and the Leafs as the three top contenders, I guess.
Yeah.
And also Carolina, Pittsburgh, and the Rangers are red hot. Out west, it's Colorado, who I've told you last week.
You've said that a few times.
I love the Leafs, and I hope the Leafs beat them in the final. But I think that Colorado have the team to, wouldn't it be nice for Kadri, who's a kid that I always liked and wanted to stick around with our guys, but he didn't. And he's on fire with
big time.
So we've got St. Louis and Minnesota, who are also red hot out west. Also, Calgary is in first place in the Western, in the Pacific Division. They lead the Kings, and the Oilers are right up there too. In the Vegas,
the Oilers are right there.
So the Oilers are right there again. So it's going to be interesting playoffs.
Yeah, I think so too. We want to talk about all our air radio stations that we're involved with. FM108.ca, a 50, 60, 70 station that we love bringing you great music from that great era.
If you want a time capsule to go away from all this shit, and go back to the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and the Beatles, Chuck Berry, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin,
Beach Boys.
We take those decades.
Dion
and the Belmonts. Yeah. We got to do a whole show on music.
Yeah. Eddie Cochran, everything.
Eddie Cochran, and all that stuff. It's on FM 108. RadioGTA.ca is a freeform station, national radio, national news, weather, sports on all of our stations every hour. We're not a podcast. We're a radio podcast that is 24/7 forever.
We're a streaming station. We're a streaming music and news station.
And on GTA, we are the home of the countdowns because, of course, we have the Big 20 every Wednesday night with Bill James and the music man James Rogers, and we play the top 20 from all. You want the new music right out of the hopper? It's right there on GTA, 10 to 12 Eastern on Wednesday nights. And of course, the 3D Variety Show with James, 7 to 10 on Wednesday. And they call each other Max and Max. I don't know why. It's a thing they have. So we called it the Max and Max Marathon on Wednesday.
The Maxi Max Marathon.
Yes. And on the weekends, we have the Country Countdown from Indie Country with Walter and the gang. And so many things going on. I'm on in the morning. You're on in the afternoon. On GTA and of course in 108 as well. We're all over. We got Leah, of course, here is on our community station, Halton Hills Online Radio.
Yeah.
So we have 3 stations all together.
We're busy all the time.
And the video, of course.
We still want to hear from you, our viewers, our listeners, all this stuff. We love your input. Send us your comments, your views, all that good stuff. We're starting to get noisy here. We're on location at the Appalachian, who are one of our sponsors for this show. Great place in Halton Hills, Ontario, Canada. You can check them out at 905-877-9888. You can check them out on Facebook or online. We're the little room that rocks, and we've got tons of great live music. They always have great specials every weekend. They've got a salmon dish and a steak dish for this weekend for $17.95 and $18.95, so check them out. Give them a call if you're local. We'd love you to stop in and check out the cool music they have here every Wednesday and Sunday night. So.
And of course, we're brought to you by Tourism Canada and NovaScotia.com. This week we've been highlighting hometowns. Antigonish in Nova Scotia, and the oldest continuous Highland Games outside Scotland. Did you know that?
I did not know.
There's so many things in Canada you can come and see, like Red Deer, Alberta.
Yep.
RedDeer.com. And Melfort, Saskatchewan, the City of Northern Lights, TourismSaskatchewan.com. Our friends in Selkirk, Manitoba, where the black flies are the size of the front line or the defensive end.
They look like a black crow.
Of the LA Rams. Selkirk, Manitoba is a wonderful place to escape into the wilderness, but take your fly spray with you in the summertime. Timmins, TourismTimmins.com, the hometown of who?
Shania Twain.
Shania Twain, buddy.
The one and only.
And hello to Montreal, our beautiful the largest French-speaking city outside of Paris. And Montreal
I tell
is
you
such,
that, huh? I tell you all day long.
Montreal is such a gem in our tourism industry. Montreal and Quebec City,
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Quebec City, gorgeous place.
Do you know how
to
many
visit.
people go and leave shirts and have fun on St. Catherine Street on a Saturday night? You're damn right.
On the Saturday
That's
night.
right. That's the Canadian way. And
So we want to thank all of you for tuning in. It's been a fantastic week. We hope you have a fantastic week as well. Be safe out there. For Big Daddy Russ Horton, I'm Lee Lakin and Leah Lywood. We want to thank you for tuning in. Be safe, and we'll catch everybody on the B-side.
Now we have to say it a special way, don't we, Leah, on our national show. Community is community. And what is it we say? Something about nationwide. Look at her, she's giving me that.
Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide is on. We're showing our age. We're rustic Canadian radio video.
We don't say
streaming.
that one on our,
And,
on our air
we
radio
should.
one.
We should.
I have one that I just put up, but I did put it.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week. We'll catch you all on the B-side.
As long as Putin doesn't blow us up, we'll be back here next week.